Hello guys. I recently viewed my analytics and found that people are watching my video but not subscribing my channel. Please subscribe my channel so that I can feed my cat. Hello guys. Today, I am going to show you an American comedy film from 2020 entitled Desperados. Warning: this is a spoiler content. So, watch out and take care. The film starts with Wesley Daria going to a job interview for a guidance counselor position at a Catholic school. She bombs the interview when she starts getting too candid about sex talk with the head nun. Wesley's friends Brooke and Kaylee try to cheer her up at Kaylee's house, only for a broken transformer to fall on Wesley's car. Wesley decides to go on a blind date with a friend of Kaylee's husband Tad. She meets the guy, Sean McGuire, at a bar. Although they chat and joke briefly, Sean decides to take his automatic out because Wesley was going too fast by talking about marriage and kids. She responds with how she has had a very bad year with trying to find a job, her ex getting married, and her birds dying. As she storms out, Wesley's heel gets caught in a crack and she trips and falls unconscious. She is woken up by a handsome stranger named Jared Sterling. He invites her back to his place so her friends can pick her up there. Wesley likes Jared a lot and he seems to be attracted to her, so at Brooke and Kaylee's behest, she decides to see him. They start dating for about a month and they end up having sex. After a few days, Wesley doesn't hear from Jared and she thinks he is ghosting her. She gets drunk with Brooke and Kaylee and they all write Jared an angry email with references to his dead dad and him having a small penis. As the ladies try to find a signal to send the email, Wesley gets a call from Jared, who says he was in a coma for the last few days in Mexico after getting into a car accident. His phone and laptop are at his hotel and Wesley realizes she has made a horrible mistake. Unfortunately, the email has already gone out. Desperate to fix things, she proposes to her friends that they go to Mexico and break into his room to delete the email. Although they are reluctant at first, Brooke and Kaylee agree to go. The ladies arrive in Mexico at the resort where Jared is staying. They make a bad first impression when Wesley's bag falls and a dildo falls out, which is picked up by a boy named Nolan. His mom Debbie is pissed at Wesley, who awkwardly tries to get away from the situation. To her surprise, Sean is also there, but she tries to avoid him. Without a clear plan on how to get into Jared's room, Wesley calls his phone until she hears his ringtone. When trying to use a card to open the door fails, she has Brooke and Kaylee help her pretend to need assistance getting back into her room while she is only wearing a towel to make it look urgent. The resort employee knows it's not a room, but after Wesley begs him, he relents and lets her in. Unfortunately, the room belongs to Debbie and Nolan, the latter thinking Wesley is now his girlfriend and that they have a connection. 2 instances occur in which her towel falls off and Nolan almost sees her, but when he tries to return the towel, while covering his eyes, he accidentally touches Wesley's breast. Debbie comes in and sees and thinks Wesley is a pedophile. Meanwhile, Brooke and Kaylee go out together since Brooke is feeling neglected by her husband back home. They spot 2 men that they decide to hang out with. Kaylee befriends one guy because he's gay, but the guy Brooke talks with is a total loser. Wesley returns to them while wearing a towel that is barely covering her. The next day, Brooke and Kaylee tell Wesley they learned that the resort's manager, Quintano, takes guests paddleboarding and leaves his stuff on the shore so they may have an opportunity to swipe his master key. While Wesley attempts to wait for an opportunity, she is met by Sean, who tries to get Wesley to go paddleboarding with him. Since Brooke and Kaylee can't, Wesley reluctantly joins him. They make it to the dock and hang out where they see a dolphin. Wesley is amazed by it until the dolphin swims to her and starts humping her. Not long after, it jumps back out and slaps her in the face with its penis. Sean carries a traumatized Wesley to the shore, where Brooke tells her they got the master key. While walking back to the hotel, Wesley feels sick and passes out. Nolan happens to be there and tries performing CPR on her, but she pushes him off. Debbie attacks Wesley for thinking she was once again harassing her son, but Wesley then barfs on Debbie's face. This leads the 3 friends to get kicked out of the resort. They are forced to stay in a rundown motel in a dangerous part of town. Wesley still desperate to complete the task, tickles Brooke to get her to give up the master key before Quintano changes the codes to Jared's room. Wesley runs back to the resort, where she gets electrocuted trying to climb a fence. She does manage to make it to Jared's room and gets a call from him saying he will be heading home early. Quintano and his assistant catch Wesley in the room. She attempts to jump out the window to escape but is caught. Brooke and Kaylee have arrived to find her and watch her being arrested. The two go to the jail to bail Wesley out along with Sean, but to their surprise, Nolan is the one who bailed Wesley out because he loves her so much. After Wesley gets out, she appears to have a moment of clarity on how insane the whole trip was, but she instead just has a different plan on getting close to Jared and erasing the email when he's not looking. Brooke and Kaylee become concerned for Wesley's behavior and try to help her out, but she remains stubborn and drags Sean into the mess. Brooke and Kaylee decide to go off on their own. The two ladies decide to go to a meditation resort led by a guru Kaylee follows named Angel de La Paz. After a bus ride to the place, the two meet Angel, and Kaylee expresses her desire to have Angel help her get pregnant since she has been having trouble doing so back home. Angel says she cannot do anything for her, despite her having a reputation for helping women. Angel decides to see Brooke alone, and while Brooke doesn't like how Angel spoke to Kaylee, she is able to open up to her about her frustrations with her husband back home, leading Brooke and Angel to start hooking up. Kaylee, however, is depressed and gets drunk. On the ride back to their motel, she tells Brooke she never liked her husband and supports her next move. Wesley and Sean find Jared being escorted to the airport by hotel employees who are carrying his electronics out to bring back to the airport. The two decide to follow the hotel van and they start bonding more on their trip. Wesley talks about how much she loves Jared, but when she gets down to it, all she really likes is that he's attractive, and he said she's the last normal girl-in-law, which Sean disagrees with since he knows Wesley is anything but normal. Their trip is derailed when a goat standing in the middle of the road causes their car to turn over, but they are unharmed. They find the place and see it is a quinceanera, so they actually enjoy the party and hang out together. He joins her on a van that takes her to the airport so she can conveniently bump into Jared and guide him home after claiming that she flew to help him. Wesley joins Jared on the plane ride home while also seeing Brooke and Kaylee and passively ignoring them. Wesley tries to get Jared to fall asleep so she can delete the email from his phone, but she remembers that Sean told her she should let him read the email so that he can see her at her best and at her worst. Wesley wakes Jared up and shows him the email. He is understandably horrified and tells Wesley he doesn't want to be with her anymore, and Wesley is now alone and miserable. Even when they land back in La, Brooke and Kaylee are too tired of her drama to deal with her. They announce that Brooke is getting a divorce and Kaylee is going to adopt a baby. After some time, Wesley gets a call from a school saying that Sean recommended her for the guidance counselor position. She goes to the school and makes a good impression on the kids and staff, allowing her to earn the job. Still feeling bad about neglecting her friends, she goes by Kaylee's house and finds her cat Kevin, who is repeatedly mentioned as looking like Hitler, wandering outside the house. Wesley climbs the tree in the yard to retrieve Kevin when she sees Kaylee and Tad talking in the house with a pregnant woman. She falls from the tree and is met outside by Kaylee, Tad, Brooke, and the pregnant woman. Wesley explains herself and apologizes to her friends for her behavior and tells the woman that Kaylee and Tad will be great parents for her baby, but it turns out that she is a real estate agent and Kaylee and Tad are just selling their house. Wesley is embarrassed, but her friends forgive her. Wesley then goes to the same restaurant where she met Sean and tries to explain that she was wrong about Jared. However, Sean is on a blind date with another woman and says he only wants something casual instead of a relationship. As she excuses herself, Wesley tells Sean how she really feels and leaves. The other woman returns and tells Sean a crazy story, so he runs back outside to Wesley and kisses her. The other woman comes out and is pissed, telling her friend that this always happens to her. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked this video. Subscribe my channel to never miss out any video.